some questions, and we do have plenty of them. So, Marc and Judy, I want to have you both come back here for these. And again, I'm going to ask Marc this first question coming in, and then Judy, your thoughts on it as well. But Marc, when it comes, you spoke a lot about integrity. How would you handle maybe a specific example of a client pressuring you to adjust figures to make their financial statements look better? And I'm putting adjust in quotation marks there.
Well, what I would do is I would sit down with the person and say, I agree with you. The international financial reporting standards provide different accounting methods. We might make some choices how to record a transaction. The person who would come up with me or come up to me with that type of question would probably be an accountant also. And he would say, hey, this is the way I prepare my financial statement. You're the auditor. Do you understand how I did it? And he would try to justify. And then I would just stand up and tell the person, okay, legally, you're right. It would be acceptable under the International Financial Reporting Standard. But what about if people were to challenge your decision? Would you feel comfortable with it? Because it may be totally legit, but not ethical. So I would say, me as a professional accountant, I have my professional judgment, and I'm going to come up with what I feel is the right thing to do in this situation. We might not agree. We might need to have another person involved and to decide what to do. But don't let people tell you what to do. Listen to what they have to say. As Judy was pointing out, fact check what they're telling you, and they might be right. Maybe the way I saw it was not the right way to see it. But if I'm just feeling bad to say no to the person and I don't want to offend, or I'm afraid of losing a client, then I am the one having an ethical dilemma, and I don't know how to deal with it at that point.
Thank
Judy?
you so much. Judy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think those are all extremely good points, and it reminds me of an example when I represented a very large accounting firm. You would recognize the name, in a case where the accounting firm had been the external auditor for a bank. And there were a number of irregularities and a number of instances where the person in charge of the audit, who was very good friends of the bank CEO, had really just looked the other way or done things, not reported things in the audit because the bank CEO had asked him to do so. And there were a number of young auditors on this team. And when I got into representing them and going through the documents, I found that there were half a dozen of these young people on the team, on the audit team, and they all had what they called their CYA file. And when I talked to them about that, they said, well, you know, we knew what we were being asked to do. We were pressured to just keep our mouths shut and go along with it. We really knew it probably wasn't right, and we wanted to protect ourselves, so we documented this. And I'm like, okay, but did you actually do anything? Did you talk to anybody? Did you go up the line? Did you try to get assistance from either someone within your organization or legal assistance? And none of them did. And so I think it's not enough to just try to CYA yourself. You need to figure out, as Marc has said, what is the right thing and what can you live with? Because they all ended up losing their jobs. There were huge consequences for the bank, which ended up in basically a bankruptcy procedure, and huge consequences for all the people on this audit team and the accounting firm itself. And I just say, you know, as Marc said, there are many, many tests that I went through. Can you live with yourself? Can you look in the mirror and say, did I do the right thing? And that's ultimately what you have to think about.